After the nearly 2-month diplomatic rift between Qatar and its Gulf neighbours, are there signs of a rapprochement in the making? And with tensions heightening in Kashmir, why are India-Pakistan relations at such a low ebb right now? Welcome to The Point. Live from Beijing, I'm Li Xin. The diplomatic rift between Qatar and its neighbours seems to show signs of abating as the Saudi-led bloc has dropped its list of 13 demands and instead introduced 6 broad principles. The Qatari emir has also shown a willingness to negotiate but stresses any talks must respect national sovereignty. The 7-week-long crisis has seen intensified mediation efforts from the US, the EU and Kuwait, though none of them has yet to achieve a breakthrough. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been visiting 3 Gulf countries in the hope of de-escalating the impasse. What's the climate like now between Qatar and Saudi Arabia? Will Turkey's mediation efforts be futile or successful? Joining us today from Ankara, Turkey is Professor Hüseyin Bağcı, Chairman of International Relations at the Middle East Technical University, and from Durham University by Professor Anush Eteshami, Director of the Institute for Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Professor Bağcı, first of all, how do you look at Mr. Erdogan's visit? A source close to the government said on the condition of anonymity that Erdogan's visit aims at repairing any misunderstanding. How can we understand that?
First of all, the Turkish president visit is frequently in recent days, and it is important that Turkey is appearing as the peace broker, as the consciousness of the Middle East, as the one who tries to bring the conflicting Arab countries together. And Turkey is not an Arab country, by the way. And what is more important, as you said, it is from a political crisis to diplomatic rift. Now, Turkey and Qatar just before the program declared that they agree that this problem has to be solved through diplomatic dialogue, through diplomatic channels. And I think Turkish president's visit is important, but it will not bring the final solution to the conflict. Maybe it is a little bit cooling the conflict. He was visiting Kuwait, he was visiting, of course, King Salman, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is appearing as the biggest important player, and first time Turkish Prime Minister used the word big brother of the Gulf, which is Saudi Arabia. Never ever before Turkey was using such a terminology, because Turkey wanted to be, if you want, rule setter in the Middle East. But at the moment it seems that Saudi Arabia has taken the role of Turkey, and Saudi Arabia is now moving into this political vacuum with the support of American administration.
Yeah. Professor,
Turkey is now secondary. Yeah.
Professor Eteshami, let me ask your take on the aim and the objective of President Erdogan's visit. It seems like he's making a big show, okay? From the footage, you can see he's very poised in his gestures. How do you look at his trip so far?
I would say that it has a domestic and also an external dimension to it. Domestically, he needs to show that his government, his presidency is relevant regionally, internationally, and that coming out of the referendum that he won very narrowly, you may recall, that actually there is much to be gained from having him as the emerging executive president of the Republic of Turkey. Externally also, I think since his party, the AKP, came to power, Turkey has slowly but surely been reorienting itself towards its Muslim hinterland. And before the Arab Spring even, Turkey was very keen to build relations with the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. It wanted to act as a conduit, an energy conduit between them and Europe, and it wanted to be positioned as an emerging regional power. Much happened, including the civil war in Syria, that impeded the strategy of Erdogan. Now, with the crisis amongst the GCC countries, I think he's able to resurface and reassert his authority, which was much diminished after the Morsi of Egypt was removed by military coup, and Qatar remained the only country, remember, in the GCC that was remaining loyal to this broader Islam and democracy kind of paradigm, and having put many of his own baskets in the Qatari eggs in the Qatari basket, it was important for him to be able to diversify Turkey's access and also act as a mediator in this instance.
Professor Baji, just now you said that it seems you are afraid that President Erdogan's efforts might not pay off. Why did you say that? What are the obstacles he's faced with?
I think it is a try to solve it, but it will be not solved after this visit. It will continue. This 7 weeks long crisis will continue for another 7 weeks. So what Tayyip Erdogan is doing is just trying to connect the sides together and try to understand how to find a solution. But Turkey is not the main player in this sense, I must say. Turkey is doing her best. Definitely Tayyip Erdogan is doing this internationally, as showing, of course, that he is the one who can bring the Arab countries together, and because of this good relations of Turkey to the CSI countries, Gulf countries and Saudi Arabia, it thinks that it can just solve the problem, but the reality is different. Reality is Saudi Arabia is together with Egypt. Turkey does not recognize the Muslim Brothers as the terrorist organization, and this difference will continue between Saudi Arabia and Egypt. So Turkey is, if you want, the loser within this Arab conflict. Turkey's involvement will not bring the expected result, but it is a try. Tayyip Erdogan brings the countries together, getting the views, but there will be neither diplomatic nor political solution at the moment. It will last longer than we expect.
Yeah, Professor Etishemi, now Turkey has been very supportive of Qatar since the beginning of the crisis. Do you think Turkey is able to retain the trust of the Saudis and the Saudi bloc at this moment? From the pictures we've seen, the Saudis seem to be playing along.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question that you've posed. I think Turkey suffers from credibility as a mediator in this context, given that very soon after the crisis broke, it sent troops to its base in Qatar and demanded that Saudi Arabia and its allies remove all of the conditions, the siege conditions on Qatar. Although it is also important for Turkey to try and reconnect with Saudi Arabia, which is the other key Muslim Arab country in the region. But also, let's not lose sight of the fact that there was another country in the region that also reached out to Qatar, and that was Iran. And President Erdogan's visit has a lot to do with jockeying in terms of positioning Turkey and himself as the honest broker in a condition that Saudi Arabia, frankly, will not even talk to his Iranian counterparts. And therefore, Turkey emerges as a non-Arab NATO member, good contacts with Europe and the United States, and also, in a sense, able to act as honest broker. But given that the tension between Egypt and Turkey, given Saudi's suspicions about Turkey's role, Turkey, I think, will have to rely on Kuwait to sell its credentials, if you like, to the Saudis. The Saudis will not take what Turkey says at face value. They have broader concerns, and to be honest, I think they much rather hear any compromise coming from the mouth of the Americans than from the mouth of the Turkish government staff.
Professor Baji, now before the start of Erdogan's visit, his spokesperson told reporters on Thursday that Turkey welcomes the easing by the Saudi bloc of demands to end the Qatar crisis. He see that the constructive approach adopted by Turkey in this crisis is yielding results. Now, hailing Turkey's diplomatic efforts, did the Saudi bloc back down because of even partially Turkey's efforts?
I think Saudi Arabia plays a double game here. Saudi Arabia is listening to Turkey, but does not make any compromises. Until now, there is no compromise. The second point is President Erdogan is definitely right to go there and try to play the role of honest broker, which I said also in the beginning. But Turkey is not the country which can solve this. Qatar is definitely one of the biggest countries which invest in Turkey. Officially, more than $20 billion Qatar investment in Turkey. Turkey supported also concerning the military base in Qatar, but they are all symbolic, I would say, military achievements. But Qatar is also playing double. Turkey is important as NATO member, as negotiating with the European Union, all what Mr. Ashtemi said, but also with Iran. Turkey is also dealing with Iran. There are three powers in the Middle East, Iran, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, which aim to play a regional hegemony role. Egypt is now out, but Egypt is still there, and Saudi Arabia, with this Arab bloc, definitely Saudi Arabia is the leading. Turkey is not leading the Arab bloc, and Turkey is suggesting, but also getting no immediate response. This is why I'm saying that this visit is important, but does not bring the expected result. There is no solution.
No.
Or is there anyone?
Not yet. Professor Etishemi, how do you look at the reasons behind the Saudi blocs seemingly backing down from their original list of 13 demands, very strong one? Now, would you call that a compromise? Yeah. If so, why did the Saudi bloc make this move?
I think they were expecting Qatar to cave in much quicker than this, given the blockade, as you recall, was quite substantial, comprehensive in terms of freezing access, land, air and sea, to Qatar. That didn't happen. That countries like Turkey, like Iran, rushed to Qatar's rescue, and Qatar, to be honest, has got the resources, the financial resources, to compensate for the blockade that it suffered. Secondly, what we've seen, ironically for the first time in the GCC countries, a rise in patriotism. It's the first time that you see that the photograph of the Emir Tamim being displayed on cars, on cartons, outside shops, on the streets, in car parks, park benches and so on, almost simultaneous for the leader. This is unheard of in the GCC countries, where it's often been a top-down approach in terms of securing allegiance of the population. And that, to a degree, also worries Saudi Arabia, that they have now not only taken on Emir Tamim, but also all of Qatari population in terms of this rallying support for their leadership. They need to contain that. Thirdly, they didn't expect the United States, they didn't expect France, they didn't expect Britain, they didn't expect other countries to come and ask for mediation to try and ask Saudi Arabia and its allies, UAE and Egypt in particular, to calm the situation down.
Sure.
So in a sense, Saudi Arabia was left with little, but to shorten its list of demands.
Gentlemen, we have to go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, many thanks, Professor Anush Etishami, Institute for Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies at Durham University, and Professor Hussein Baji from Middle East Technical University. And a very quick first point from me. The influence of President Erdogan in resolving the tension between Qatar and its neighbors is likely to be limited, as he has taken a firmly pro-Qatari position since the start of the crisis. But 7 weeks on, no one has produced any evidence that Qatar supports banned organizations. Many would argue that this crisis was never about terrorism. Rather, it is about, among other things, Qatar's insistence on pursuing an independent foreign policy instead of behaving as a Saudi protectorate. They also want Qatar to repress criticism of their governments, but surely national sovereignty needs to be respected if any solution is to be found at all. You've been watching The Point with me, Liu Xin. We'll be back right after this short break. India and Pakistan have seen a surge in fighting along Kashmir's line of control over the past months. The two countries have repeatedly accused each other of violating the 2003 ceasefire agreement. What's behind the latest surge, and where is the situation heading in the near future? For more, I am pleased to be joined in the studio by Mr. Saibal Dasgupta, China correspondent of the Times of India, and Mr. Malik Sumbal, a senior journalist and analyst from Pakistan. Gentlemen, and welcome to the studio. First of all, let's take a look at the situation in the past year. The Hindu reported that since last year, the violation across the line dramatically increased, even by 20 times. What has really changed in the perspective of India and in the perspective of Pakistan? Mr. Gupta first.
You know, every time there is a political stability in Pakistan, even when there is a military ruler like General Musharraf, the cross-border firing comes down because the government is stable. Politicians don't want to make Kashmir a big issue. This government of Nawaz Sharif is not stable. He's already facing corruption charges. He's in great trouble. Over the last 1 year, he's in trouble. That's one. Secondly, the military has not been comfortable with him. There is a lot of pressure, pulls and pressures from the military. So military is trying to assert itself. The political situation in Pakistan is like this, that Kashmir is a big agenda. And not only politicians want it, even the military want it, because military is also important.
So you're using this issue to divert attention away from the internal problems.
That's a very small aspect of it. The big aspect of it is that military is competing with its own civilian politicians to become a greater champion of Kashmir, which is why, because of this, there are always cross-firings in order to hike up the issue.
Yeah, Mr. Malik, what's your take?
So I would not agree, Mr. Gupta, because if I see that in India, the Narendra Modi regime that is perceived in Pakistan, because Narendra Modi is not getting much attention.
First of all, reply to what Mr. Das Gupta has just said, the issue that Pakistan is using Kashmir to divert attention from its internal problems.
No, I don't think so, that Pakistan is using the Kashmir tool to divert towards the attention from its internal problem. But the major problem is on the borderline, which has been witnessed for a long time of such kind of the sheer Indian side, because Pakistan accused India, because Pakistan is not in a position right now to afford any kind of the problem, because on the way to towards its economic development right now. So Pakistan accused many times, and even the international observers, because Pakistan called the UN international observer to visit the line of control and the border line to see what are the facts, and definitely there was the much violation from the Indian side.
Also, what Mr. Das Gupta was talking about, that the military is basically not in the control of the central government. Is that the case?
Of course not. Of course not. This is not something like this, that military is not. Military is definitely one of the powerful institution in Pakistan, but it is not that that the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif facing the corruption charges or something like this. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is much interested in the better relation with India, because it's both good for the people of the Pakistan and for the people of India.
Then, if Mr. Musharraf, Nawaz Sharif wants better relationship with India, why is the relationship going worse?
The problem is this, that the Indian Prime Minister, I told you that it's very easy to play the anti-Pakistan sentiment inside India, because when you are not coming with the development, Narendra Modi, Prime Minister, has visited many countries, and now there is a severe pressure from the opposition side that you are visiting a lot of countries, but there is not any kind of the economic which is coming and pouring inside the country. So according to that criticism and this mounting pressure on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, so they are diverting the attention to the borderline. They are creating problem. They are the exchange firing, and then in the result of this exchange firing, there is casualties from both sides. There is economic losses from both sides. There is the stop of the train. There is a stop of the buses. So everything happened.
Yeah, India is also suffering. Mr. Das Gupta, what is your reaction to what he talked about, that it's Mr. Modi who is using the Kashmir issue to divert attention from the problems he is faced with?
Actually, I agree with two things that my friend said.
Yes.
One is cross-border firing, or any firing is bad, because innocent people get killed. So that is bad. Let us accept that fact. Let us accept the fact that cross-border trade should be there, and this dispute should be put on end. That is acceptable. The second thing he says, that Nawaz Sharif actually wants a good friendship with India. Exactly, that is what it is. And many in Pakistan don't want it, which is why Nawaz Sharif is under pressure. Nawaz Sharif got elected on two things, two big things during election. He said he will bring electricity, which is a big problem. And with China's help, he is able to solve that problem, which is why he is also popular, even with corruption charges. The second thing he said that he will put an end to quarrels with because so much of money, resources, everything is being wasted on this quarrel. But he is not able to implement this part of the agenda simply because the military wants power, military wants to assert itself. What would the military do unless it has a quarrel with India? It has no other neighbor to quarrel with.
I'm going to ask you this question. What about the military in India? What is the relationship between the Indian military and the Indian government? I mean, doesn't the Indian government also want peace with Pakistan?
You see, when Modi became the Prime Minister, he invited Pakistan Prime Minister on the inauguration, on his own inauguration. He invited other leaders from other countries in South Asia, like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. But Nawaz Sharif was most important. He was given a big, and he came. Even many people in Pakistan were surprised about it. And there was very good start of relationship. But that has been affected, very badly affected, by not only cross-border firing, but something more.
Like
which
what?
is India's concern, not cross-border firing. India's concern is that bunch of terrorists go inside India, attack Indian installations. They have attacked installation in Pathankot, which is on the border, a military installation. Worst thing is they are attacking innocent pilgrims going to temples. On July 10 this month, terrorists came and they killed, like I think 17 people or something were killed.
Yeah, that was reported.
Yes, but there was no sympathy expressed from anywhere. And what is shocking is that the Pakistan military does not stop the terrorists from crossing this side, because terrorists are an operational necessity. Even the British government has said this, that somehow there is a linkage between the ISI, which is the intelligence wing of the military.
I doubt the British government is the right reference point here. But Mr. Malik, what is your take? What is your reaction to what Mr. Dasgupta just said about this, the support or the lack of action from the Pakistani side to so-called terrorist attacks?
Again, Pakistan has a lot of sacrifices for the terrorism, to stop the terrorism, to stop the terrorists. And Pakistan has the paramilitary forces, our army have such a the previous army chief, General Rahil Sharif, he has a massive operation of the Zarb-e-Azab to eliminate the terrorists. But Pakistan has also handed over the strong evidence of the involvement of the India to support the Baloch Liberation Army, where in Balochistan province now, which is the hub of all the economic activities, which is the hub of the Gwadar port, and we have the secret agents which Pakistan have arrested, and they are now under trial, and the India is going to the international court for the to getting free from Pakistan. So these are all baseless charges which both the countries are accusing with each other. So I don't think so that is something like the extraordinary kind of the charges. I don't believe these, because this chapter has gone now. Pakistan has much done against terrorism, and the world is accepting this.
I think it is very difficult to find out who is right, who is wrong. Maybe you are right here, maybe he is right there. To a certain degree, is true on both sides. Let's look a little bit to the future. How this issue which has been going on for decades, is there any way that in the near future some light of hope might come out, Mr. Dasgupta?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you see, the Kashmir issue is not such a terribly passionate, emotional issue in India. Because India is a huge country, and Kashmir is a small part of it.
But why has nothing happened so far? I mean, there has been peace processes in the past, but every time it failed. Why no progress?
A new development has taken place in Kashmir. And I'm not saying that it has worsened the situation. No, I'm not saying that. But the new development is CPEC. Because China started this China-Pakistan economic corridor, and this economic corridor is passing through a small portion of Kashmir itself, which is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which India lays a claim. So the Chinese project is also going through a disputed area. So now that is also an issue with Pakistan. Pakistan has to prove its ability to resist any form of Indian pressure. So, which is also a new dimension that is
I
coming.
thought there was a good point to, for instance, look at China. China says Taiwan is part of China. Taiwan says it's an independent country, but China never blocks anybody from investing in Taiwan and vice versa. Why can't economic activities be given the opportunity to go ahead while we keep the political difference?
Economic activity should always be allowed to go ahead. But the point is that a third country is constructing a physical route there and putting its own soldiers there.
It's an economic investment object. Malik, anyway, the Pakistani perspective towards India's opposition.
Of course, India is feared about this economic development into the Kashmir, because they know that if there is some sort of economic development in this region, then definitely people have the awareness, and that this suppression and the depression and the domination on the people of the Kashmir, which is occupied by the India, definitely it will create a big development for the people of the Kashmir. And when they will have the awareness, when they will have the opportunity to get involved into the economic activities, definitely their fate will be changed.
We have to leave it there. It's a very complicated subject, very interesting subject, but our time is really limited. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Saibal Das Gupta, China correspondent of the Times of India, and Malik Ayub Sumbal, a senior journalist and analyst from Pakistan. And China's position on this ongoing conflict that has been rumbling on for decades is that it is the two parties, India and Pakistan, that have to come up with their own solution. China has offered to mediate, but this has been rejected by India, citing that is an issue between India and Pakistan. There have been bilateral efforts to resolve the issue peacefully, but no progress so far. However, dialogue is the only key. That's all for this edition of The Point. Follow me on Twitter or visit our Facebook page using the handle The Point with Alex. Download the application called CGTN Live or go to YouTube and look for CGTN. Thanks for watching. I'll be away for 2 weeks on holidays, but keep watching, keep tuning into The Point. I'll be back after that. See you next time.